Hey kids, it's Mark Miller here. Welcome. Roy's with me.
I am indeed.
Fred's over there. Fred, you having
Hey, Fred.
You having a good day? No? Okay. You don't know? You're not sure? All right. We'll maybe we'll write some code today that'll work, and Fred will give us a big fat thumbs up.
That'll cheer him up.
He doesn't know. All right.
Have faith, Fred.
You have faith, Fred.
We'll make you happier.
So what'd you say?
We'll get him happier.
Hopefully. So we're working on this targeting UI for TaleSpire.
Yes.
And yesterday I was noticing we were having some problems where we were getting like crashes, like a lot of crashes. And they weren't making.
We initially thought that was like a version incompatibility, but we got latest versions. We compiled with latest DLLs, we thought, and it seemed better at first.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then it wasn't.
And then it got worse again.
Yeah.
I have the. Let's switch back over to my machine. We're on the TaleSpire machine right now. I have this is the remote machine over here, and this is my machine. I've just done a difference based only not on. Here, I'll go into the rules here. Not on the timestamps. When I compare this timestamps, it's finding all over the place, all kinds of differences. But if I say, well, you know what? Let's look only at the file size. And really, we just get down to Newton soft. And I'm like, is that really causing the problems? Like, I don't know. I'll copy this, I guess. I thought I'd wait to do anything before I got the voice of reason.
I got to say, I love Beyond Compare, this tool, for anything like this, because it really helps narrow down, have these files changed, which ones have changed. Don't bother showing me things if they haven't changed, all that kind of stuff. Right. Hey, Jetson.
Hey, Jetson. Let me get the push out of here.
There you go.
Time that push is right. I'm going to copy that to the left. You okay with that, Rory?
Yeah.
Newton soft over there, moving it to the left. The folder contains a newer file. What? Really? Oh my goodness. Jeez. Okay. I didn't see that. So the new version, apparently.
So left versus right, which is which?
This is my local machine. I thought this was
local machine. So this is where we're coding against and we're compiling against at the moment.
It does have a 2019 date on it. Yeah. So well.
So we should copy Newtonsoft the other way then, right?
Yeah, I guess, but all right, fine. Copy to the right. There it is. I don't think it's going to make any difference at all with regards to anything now. Now I'm just disheartened. I thought I had one shot at maybe fixing this. My DLL folders are here and here. These are the ones I'm building off of, if my understanding is correct, and these are the ones that I am are installed.
Running.
Yeah, these are the running ones right here. So Newton soft. So I could come in here and say select left folder to compare, and over here and say select right compare to managed, and there's that one. So yeah, it's basically saying there's the DLL that's different.
Yeah. Newtonsoft itself doesn't depend on anything except the framework, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah.
Okay.
What's interesting though is that to be honest, I don't even know why it's inside of here, right? We're building against something that we should be getting through the NuGet package manager. So I'm not sure, maybe I got this from an earlier, I don't know. What am I going to do? Am I going to do that? Am I going to copy it to the right?
I mean, it feels like the safest thing to do is to depend on the same stuff that the game itself is dependent on.
Yeah, well, I just did that.
Yeah, to some extent.
But this is the one we just changed. We just changed the one in my local. Right? We changed this from the other Beyond Compare instance that was out there. Is it this one?
it's tabbed interface. You've got them both in that window. Yeah.
This one right here. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it was here. We copied it from the remote machine to the install.
From the remote machine to the local.
Yeah, this is the install folder for TaleSpire. So, you know, and then we just copied it from there to, you know, from my local install over to my DLLs folder. Is what we just did. So, I don't know.
So in that first instance, the remote to local, is the remote not the remote installed? In other words, if both copies of Steam are up to date, how could they have been different?
Why do I have all these is I think the question.
That's part of it too. Okay, but these are two managed folders, right? And these are two managed folders that in theory sit within their respective copies of Steam.
Yeah, so the real question is, why is Newtonsoft different in those two different installs?
Why is anything different, given that they're both in theory up to date, right?
Well, these I can explain. These are coming from playing with the plugin architecture.
Oh, of course.
And
yes.
So, and it looks like also building directly to the folder. So I've got the PDBs and the XAMLs here.
Yep.
So these, I think, are all my changes. The Newtonsoft is the real question for me. I don't understand why they would be different on two different installs. But they apparently were, and we just fixed it. So, or maybe we fixed it, or maybe we ruined everything.
Well, kind of at least we're going to have consistent ruinage.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in and I'm going to build just this guy right here, TaleSpire Explorer. Hey, it's our favorite coding gorilla. We don't know a lot of coding gorillas now that I think about it.
That's true.
Look at that code. There it is. I just need to see that good code in my code. Coding gorilla makes our code better. That's why he's here. It's exactly what we need right now.
Welcome to our favorite primate.
Welcome to our favorite primate. Okay, so did I do it? I did a rebuild all on that. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm like left to, with no other choice but to try to break it and watch it crash.
I was going to say, do we have a theoretically reliable sequence of events which causes a crash?
No, this is the other thing. So, in fact, it even got to the point where I was like, are we not dealing with a threading problem that I don't know about in Unity? In other words, I was thinking, because I'm triggering it via, sockets, right? Which is going to come over in its own thread. And because things worked so reliably for so long, I didn't think there was a problem. But now I'm under the I'm under the impression that maybe we've got some threading issues, and maybe there's something similar to a UI thread. I can only modify things, because when I go in and I create a new instance of something, like the shield, what's happening is I'm cloning it. Then I'm going through and setting properties, right, on the game object.
Yep.
That is, and here's the other thing though. That's typically when the crash starts. But I'm not seeing any indication. There's no exception or any indication that the problem is actually in our code, which is like both reassuring and unnerving simultaneously, which could also be another name for the show. Okay, so here we go. Here comes the breakage, is what I'm predicting. So I'm going to hit, and it also could be just like I had to restart my machines. But I'm going to hit the 30-foot button, which is, this usually does the break right here. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's not good. That's like, that indicates like a change in the code, of which I'm like, wait, what? So
haven't you previously turned on the targeting first and then set the size?
Yeah,
whereas
what's
you've
happening?
Just elected to have the size.
Well, what's happening is oh, you know what? I know what's going on.
Okay.
I made a change. That if we got to this situation like here, we wouldn't continue. That's the change in the code I made. So this is normally something that would lead to the crash, I think. And
sure.
And let's just see what happens if I clean it up. Ooh, and we don't get that one cleaned up. And I try again. Nope. I think I put a second one right on top of there. Okay. So maybe that change is not the best change. Targeting dome is null. So here's what's... So... yeah, this error right here is basically it's trying to find its transform, and its transform is coming back null.
Yeah.
Which, to my understanding, should never ever happen. Let's go look at that code. That's over in composite effect. Interesting, but we're not crashing anymore. Yeah, I was suspicious of it. I made the change. I did this. That line I added. And this line I added. So you just kill it. Yeah, so I'm suspicious of a threading issue, an initialization issue, that the clone maybe needs more time for it to finish initialization. The fact that I'm coming in here and I'm basically saying we got a problem. We're basically saying that instance transform. Well, I'm looking at this code. I'm like, are we really sure that the problem is here? Where's my target position? Target position is what's passed in here. Yeah, hold on. I am not actually verifying this. Let's... get my hands on the right place on the keyboard here. Let's do that.
Yes.
Because target position could be null. In fact, I think it is actually in some of the times I'm calling it. So that would be useful and helpful. And I essentially need the same kind of problem here. Same kind of solution down here. Like that. All right, let's close down TaleSpire. Let's rebuild with this code in here. Because I still here's what's I'm leaving now here. Here's what's different from yesterday. I'm leaving here and here. Is what's happening.
Yes. But you're leaving on the basis that instance transform is null. But in the if to this else clause, you're actually checking the target position could conceivably be null as well, and that's another reason for being in this branch.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm suggesting is that when I saw the errors yesterday, I assumed that they were errors because I didn't look closely at this part of the expression. And so I added the return null. But the more I think about it, the more I think, you know what? I bet we don't even see this now. I think it's simply because target was null. Target position was null coming in. That's what I think.
Do we expect, is that a legitimate state to be in? Are we happy to be in that state?
Yeah.
Because what we've got is if both things are good, do continuation. Else, if one of those things is null, put a comment out. But nothing if the second one is null.
Right. Yeah. No, it's an okay state because I'm initially passing in source and target as null anyway. I'm
okay.
defaulting them to null on that, so it is an okay state. All right. So let's. So yeah, I get it. That was not a good change. Let's come back in here. So we'll do a rebuild again. Rebuild all succeeded. Starting TaleSpire on the second machine. Here it comes.
Copperbeardy snuck into the chat room there. Hey Copperbeardy, how's things?
Welcome. So I have an appointment at the U.S. Embassy tomorrow in Costa Rica to get my passport renewed. And they sent an advisory that protests were planned starting yesterday and continuing indefinitely. Protests, apparently people are upset that I'm going to go get my passport renewed. I don't know. I didn't really read very far into the news bulletin. I could be wrong. Solidov's here. No, speaking in from me.
You wouldn't think there'd be many people willing to protest you getting your passport, but they heard you were coming
They heard about
and
it's coming.
apparently arranged this specially for you.
I've been talking about it on the show for a while, and so, you know. Anyway, no, they're protesting other stuff. They're taxi drivers, essentially, mostly. Taxi drivers. Okay, let's see how bad we break things now. I'm hitting the button. Nothing's broken, and it looks much better. But is it fixed? Probably not. Let's go back and forth and keep hitting the button. Turn it off. Turn it on. There it is.
There's a break.
There's the break. See what I'm talking about, Rory?
Yep.
And if we go in, open up player log over here. So this is what I suspect is related to threading. I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't looked this up yet, but this could explain it. If Unity said, hey, you know what, only modify game objects in the UI thread or in the game thread, whatever it is, the update thread. Mm-hmm. If they said something like that, then I'd be like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm doing bad stuff here. Here's what we have here. User coder, app data local. Let's open up a new instance. Go open this guy up too. Here we go. File, open. I have a feeling I was like just almost right there. Users, coder, app data, local.
I think it might be local low, but I'm not sure.
No, I'm looking at it right back here. This is where it says it is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The other one, I think, the player one is from local low. Temp, bouncy rock, TaleSpire, crashes, and that one, most likely. And error log is what we're looking for. So there's the error log right here. There's the error log. I wonder if I can start a new instance. It'll just figure out that's the folder I want to open from now. Is it smart?
No.
Nope.
Oh.
No.
Well, yeah. I like, is it Notepad++? And I know there's a few alternatives, but one thing it does is it will presume that the folder you're trying to open, or the folder that contains the file you want to open is in the same place as the file you currently have open. So you can have 5 files open in 5 different tabs, pick any one of them, and then trigger file open, and it will choose the folder that file is in as a good start point.
I love it.
And that's quite a nice way to do that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, so if we start tabbing through there, this is the player log. We should, here we go. Here's my debug messages.
Cool.
Right here. In fact, we can also search for the word crash. This I find is useful. There it is right there. Okay, yeah. So you can see I'm doing stuff. I'm instantiating a game object based on an original. Okay? Then we see crash. But look, guess what? I still keep going. I'm still running. Isn't that a little crazy?
That is a little strange.
I'm modifying stuff right here, right? I'm not sure what
the crash message is coming from Unity or from TaleSpire, right? That's not us.
Yeah, that's not us. This is like something big because it doesn't even have a debug message in it. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't even have one of these bracket pieces on it. So same thing with the system init. I'm not sure what that means. I don't get it. It's like a path, a bunch of stuff. I don't know what that means. But crash occurs pretty much consistently right after I instantiate. Probably because the mono runtime is running in a separate process. I'm not sure exactly what that is referring to, Coding Gorilla. That's why we're seeing crash without a debug message or something else, I'm not sure.
So we've got 2 processes writing to the same log.
Is that I may be misdirecting your comment there. Why your code keeps running after TaleSpire crashes. Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so I think I do something to TaleSpire here, but I don't know. Now we keep going down. This is what I was looking at yesterday. I think a whole bunch of this is all just. I think this is like okay. Repeat with children. So this is the last thing I get to do, and then I'm done. Right, so I keep working, and there's no. I've got try catch blocks on this thing. This is not an exception. This is like a really bad crash is what it is. What's interesting is it's happening on a simple call, right? Unity engine. It seems to be happening as a result of this call to Unity engine.object.instantiate. Just an instantiate call, right? I get an existing prefab that I've already loaded up, and I say, go give me a new version of it. We saw it work once, and then when I did it a second time, it crashed. And it's not, and that's not the steps to reproduce. Sometimes it'll crash on the first time I try to create it. Anything else of use in here? Got some stack traces. Yeah, that's it out for there in the player log. Go to error log. I don't know. Probably nothing of interest in here. I guess I maybe should be worried about 3,000 threads. I don't know. Feels like it's high.
That's through your whole system though, because there's also the, quite a few processes, 186. So I get the feeling that's probably what you'd see if you were in Task Manager.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, but I'm like, still, wait, what? What's it over here? CPU? Where am I going to find that? Oh, here, processes, 175 threads right there. Okay. Yeah. So, interesting. So, only about 400 threads or 300 threads added by TaleSpire. Okay. Keep going. See if we can find the word crash in here. Stack trace of crashed thread. Oh, we got its number. You know, I always suspected it was thread 12660. That guy he had a smell to it. You know what I mean, Roy?
Yeah.
Not quite. Never looked me in the eye, that thread.
Yeah. Shady character, that one.
Shady character. Yeah, so we basically see this. Attempt to access invalid address. This is not helpful to me, really. The only thing that's helpful to me about this is that it changes here. Which means we try to access an invalid address twice. And I'm really like, at this point, I'm like, wait, could I have actually built something that does this? I don't think so. I don't think it's kind of possible to get these kinds of errors in managed code.
No, you wouldn't think so.
Like, what would I have to do
Because we
to
don't
make that
have...
work? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we don't have pointers and stuff like that. We can't point at locations other than things we have. The closest we can come to that is passing a null.
Yeah, but that's there's C# might allow it, but it's got to be some unsafe code.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, I love this summary. Pretty much means you have a crash. Okay, this is helpful information. We're going to learn a little bit about this. Crashes either random or concurrent points in the game. Signed, the TaleSpire devs. Most of our crashes come from a guy in Costa Rica. Let's see. Yeah, well, look at this, though. The number is like, I was like, wait, is that the same number? Anyone experiencing this? Basically means your crash handler failed to locate where the code crashed. Fortunately, that doesn't help at all when trying to figure out what happened. I'm going to have a crash dump. Now, we do have a crash dump, I think, somewhere in here.
We did, yes.
And I don't remember
there was a folder or a file parallel with the error log.
Yeah, let's go see. Is it out here? You what? Look, it went back to this folder. I don't even understand why. Why would you do that? Okay, back over here. Temp, bouncy rock, TaleSpire, crashes. Let's open this in a new window. There's the dump. Do we have Visual Studio installed here? I got an open. Ah, okay. Maybe making some progress, Rory.
Okay. This for me is one of those here be dragons. Yes, there's a crash dump file, but I have zero knowledge on how to interpret these.
Well, I don't either, but I do know that Visual Studio can open them. That's about all I got.
Fair enough.
So I'm like, all right, cool. The thread tried to read or write to a virtual address for which it does not have the appropriate access. So this is actually backs up what I was suggesting. that there may be it's a thread related issue. Okay, so let's go back to Unity and see if Unity has any kind of threading restrictions on when I can instantiate. Because if it does, Unity thread, then we can maybe fix this, and that would be so awesome. Instantiate. Is that enough to find it? You can C#, throw that at it as well. All Unity related objects are not thread safe. Nice. That's great news, because then that kind of emphasizes either only be accessed from the main thread or result in unexpected behavior. Beautiful. How do I get something to the main thread? You can either use a coroutine or just manage and update state yourself and chunk instantiation. Either way, the implementation should look pretty much the same. For a coroutine approach, you do something along these lines. Instantiate over time. Wait, what? Spawned. Well, spawned listen count. Oh, there's the call to instantiate. Spawned, yield, return, new, wait for end of frame. So this looks like... So I think because they want to execute a whole bunch of things, you know, make a collection of game objects. It takes a long time. Okay, got it. So wait for end of frame.
So is this that we're literally manipulating code, as it were, during an update cycle or outside of an update cycle when something else is trying to read from it to actually render it or something like that?
I think that's probably what's going on. We're basically messing with the entire system. What we need is something similar to a dispatch invoke is what I think we need on this piece. The
one there seems to be taking an alternative approach, which is sort of wait until a known point in time where it is safe to modify from. It's a different approach. I've not seen that before.
Yeah, the problem with this is that this is inside, I'm pretty sure is inside a mono behavior descendant, which is, you know, got its own method. That's the method inside there that it's calling, I think, that wait for end of frame. I mean, we can take a look at it, but I think we're going to have, what do we got here? But it's in mono behavior. Yeah, in mono behavior, I think wait for end of frame. It's interesting, it doesn't say it's in mono behavior. I'm not seeing anything that says where it is, what class it's in. Implemented in core module. Okay. But what class? And here it's from yield instruction. I don't get it.
There's a link I've just thrown into Skype there, which is how do I invoke functions on the main thread?
That's what I want. There it is. Woohoo!
Might be of use, yeah. And actually, that's a very similar looking mechanic, because they're effectively using, they're queuing up an operation to run on the main thread. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Why is there
which, you know, that's how it works then.
An enumerator? Is that just what do you understand that right there? Like, I'm like, why am I doing a yield and an enumerator here, right, in this piece? Is what I guess I'm trying to figure out. Let's go see if we can do something like that.
Know.
So creator find is here. Now the question is, where do we invoke? Is the question. That's not the part that I'm concerned about. Test effects, that's on the main thread as well, I think. I guess I haven't seen any problems with that. Deserialize is not called. Create is here. All right, let's trace it the other way. Let's go from modding utils. And so we've got targeting here. instantiation seems to be the problem.
Yeah.
That's what seems to be the problem. Let's actually go back to where we were. We're in known effects, create or find. I think this is my problem. Create or find. I think this is my space that I need to handle.
Sure.
That's that guy. Here's the code. Unity main thread dispatcher, where are you located? Oh, I created a simple class. What's uncomplicated and efficient? Yeah, I'm looking for something like a little, like, I feel like uncomplicated and efficient. Run async. Okay. All right, let's go back to a 20 answer guy over here. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, so this suggested that the Unity main thread dispatcher is something that's been made externally.
Yes, that's what he said. He said, I built this class.
Which is quite impressive for a start.
Yeah.
Can we just add that CS script, I guess, to...
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. That guy right there. I'm just going to copy it. You may not use this file. Oh, except. I was like, all I read was in compliance with the license.
I was going to say, here is a file. No, you're not allowed to use it.
All right. Actually, I want to take all of this. Let's move this to file. Okay. All right. So this enumerator function, this thing is just totally throwing me for a loop. I think it's basically saying, hey, I'm trying to build this so that in case you need to enumerate and bring a bunch of things out and yield them, you can do that if you want. And if you don't need to, you don't have to do that. You just simply return yield, return null, like that. What I need though is I need to pass in these parameters, and I'm not sure exactly how to do that. I have a feeling that I'm going to need to change the instead of having actions, I'm going to either I could just use the actions and store these internally, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to create an object or something, pass it in.
Could you not wrap the call? Is that going to work? You could create a lambda which makes the call and pass the lambda just as a single object, which can then be executed. Does that work?
Maybe. Let's see. We'll both learn it here. Hold on. I feel like I'm. All right. So let's see what we can do here. Create or find. A local function. Help us out, Coding Gorilla, because I think both Roy and I are a little fuzzy on exactly how to do this.
Yeah, I think that's a fair understatement.
All right, so let's see. Really, no underlines, no problems. We did it right. Okay. All right, so let's rename this to create or find safe. Or maybe instead, oh, it returns a game object. Can we get the game in there or not? Maybe we can.
So that's the challenge, isn't it? Because we're queuing something to run later. So the act of queuing it can't return the result?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I mean, we could do a task of result. Is that how that works? But then your outer code would have to know, has the task finished? It's like async code, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
You're sort of waiting for the result to happen.
I want to wait for is what I want to do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so you want to queue it up and then be told when it has in fact been done so that you can finish and return.
Yeah, I guess my question is, can I do something like this where I say that and then down here say return of game object like this? Can I do that? Maybe not. Oh, it's just got an ambiguous call. Well, because I've got this right here. And what's this? Use of unassigned or local variable. So it doesn't count that as an assignment. And if I do that, I guess the only way to figure this out is to step through it, but I can't step through it.
See, I think your inner enqueued thing won't happen on the way through, and you're just going to get a null passed straight back out. There is no waiting here.
Yeah, you're right. There's not. And there's nothing on the end of that I can say, hey, wait for this thing to finish. Okay. So if that's not the case, yeah, create
a manual reset event.
What is that? Look that
That's
up.
a good question, yeah. That sounds very authoritative. I like the sound of it.
I do too. Also, the confidence with which that was typed in seems high to me as well. Yeah. All right. Manual reset event class. Here's where my head starts spinning, kids. Represents thread synchronization event that when signaled must be reset manually.
Okay.
Yeah, you got my attention. Create a manual reset event. I'm on it. Wait, when you say a local function, you're talking about just another function inside?
Yeah. That's my understanding. Coding Gorilla says he lagged behind, so he was just trying to draw attention to the manual reset event.
Got it. Okay, no worries. I thought you might be. Okay, hold on. So at this point in the documentation, I don't understand. They've lost me on must be reset manually. Thread synchronization event. So I don't know what that means. Class cannot be inherited. I know what that means. Example starts with a manual reset event in the unsignaled state. You don't care about the resetting. You won't reuse it. Okay. I can also just, if you want to give me some code, Coding Gorilla, I'm happy to try it. Let's look at the code. Maybe the code will help me understand what's going on.
I mean, this is very like async, where you're not, you're only waiting on one thing. Right?
Yeah,
so there's no point waiting for another and gathering it. So you're happy to just sit here and wait for the actual answer and then finally return. So you're changing it back into synchronous code, right? So
yeah, well, kind of. I just want to wait. I just want to say, look, execute this on that thread. That's what I want to do. And I'm trying to figure out, is there another way I can do it where if I can get a mono behavior in and give it an update method, then I know I'm in the right place. And I could just pass my things that I need to instantiate and build to a list. And then in the update method, see if there's anything in the list. And if it is, build it.
Yeah. We've got some example code there, though.
Oh my gosh. That looks like great code, Coding Gorilla. Let's take a look at that. That's like my favorite new code. To be honest, I wasn't happy with this license agreement right here. Especially when I read it, you may not use this file in compliance with the license. I really should read every word. It occurs to me now, but I was worried about that. All right, so let's back out of this. What is that? It looks something like, hold on. Happy with do things. Happy with that. Okie dokie. That looks good too.
Okay, so that actually does make some more sense, doesn't it? Effectively, we're saying wait for the set thing to happen before continuing. So you essentially say, I'd like you on some other thread to do the do things. And then when you finish doing the do things, set this flag. Meanwhile, I'll wait until your flag is set, and then finally, react appropriately.
All right. Looks like I wasn't able to get rid of this. Hold on. The pieces I deleted is the is it Unity?
Oh, that's true. We still need the
main thread dispatcher.
Yeah.
Dot. What was the freaking code? There's a lot here. I don't remember what it is. Instance. Dot. In queue. There we go. And then there's my do things right there. And can I do this?
So the MRE is effectively a kind of a semaphore switch, which your other thread is allowed to signal you it has finished, so that you can then go retrieve what you need.
Ah! Help! Sorry, it's the end of the show. I think the pudding's gonna kill me this time. I know there's no such thing as too much, Rory, but my show. Thanks, Coding Gorilla. That's feeling good. What do we have here? Initial state. True to set the initial state to signaled. False to set the initial state to non-signaled. What do I do here, Coding Gorilla?
Feels like a false.
Yeah.
Because you then internally you set it.
Okay. What's really remarkable to me is we had a code that's very similar to what we had before, but we don't have the error anymore that says game object not assigned or something like that. Like, I'm like, what? How's that? How's that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. because you set it to null. Oh, that's it. So that was the deal. Is he going to get it? I hope it gets it. I hope it works. All right, create or find safe is now what we have.
So we've just made the game object variable, which is local to this function, set by one thread and read by another, but in an entirely safe manner because we are waiting until the set operation has in fact occurred. I guess the potential worry is that if that create or find never returns, if it doesn't set that game object up and never runs that set, then we'd never get out of this function. But that's sort of in keeping with what you expect in sort of sequential code anyway.
Yeah. All right, so now I've got this create or find safe. Let's rename it everywhere, I think.
I'm going to say there is absolutely no way that we would have found that manual reset event on our own. Thank you very much, Coding Gorilla. That certainly has a lot of promise in it. I like the idea behind that.
Yeah, so check it out. I've got create or find unsafe, and create or find unsafe is in turn calling create or find safe from inside it, and I'm going to change that to unsafe. So once we're in unsafe, we can continue to go back, stay in unsafe. We don't have to keep doing this internally, because I think that'll even maybe cause problems if we try to do that. Okay, does that make sense? All right.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna go through anywhere else that I see a safe call that I can definitely turn to unsafe. I'll go make that change. Deserialize JSON to create effect. I have no idea. Where's that coming from? That's private inside here. I'm going to keep it at safe. I think that's okay there. I think I'm going to keep all of these safe, even though we never really saw problems with them before.
I think anything that's at highest level should be calling the safe.
Yeah.
Just to be sure. And you're right, we've not seen it before, but we don't know in what way the sort of outer loop of all of this has been modified by TaleSpire. They may be going through a much tighter loop, and this is equivalent to, you're modifying the collection as I'm iterating through it.
Yeah.
And you might have added an item and or taken one away, and that's why I'm now reading memory where there is nothing.
Yeah, thanks for that assistance, Coding Gorilla. I appreciate it. I hope this works. All right, we just did a rebuild on it. Oh, interesting. Why is it showing up here? All right, let's get the devs to look at this. Take a look here. I just did a rebuild, and then we see this. Normally this shows up across the top, but I'm not seeing it across the top. That's curious to me. I don't think this is us at all, because this is Visual Studio's piece. But really interesting how this is showing up. Check out the logs. I don't really have any other things to say about this. Maybe I'm going to do that. Oh, I should have done show test stack trace. Sorry about that, devs. Should have brought that up. Okay. Extract method. Exception. Yeah, I totally blew it. Hopefully there's something in the log. Should have hit the stack trace button. Okay. So I think we did a rebuild of everything. It was successful. Just in case. One more time. Rebuild again. Rebuild all succeeded. Okay, starting up on TaleSpire machine. Let's go switch over to that. So test one is, does it still work? Are we cloning the prefab? Are we modifying it correctly? Test two is, can we clean it up and redo it a bunch of times without getting a crash? That's kind of what we're looking for. So here comes the first one, 30 feet. Unity main thread dispatcher could not find Unity main thread dispatcher object. Please ensure that you have added the main thread executor prefab to your scene. Did I miss something?
So they're expecting this this
guy.
code file that we've been added to have been added to a sort of a standard Unity project. They're not expecting us to be calling this from plugins and so forth. He did have a prefab.
Yeah, this guy right here. So it looks like I need a little more. He did say just copy this down, you know, add it to your scene. Or simply create an empty game object and call it Unity main thread dispatcher. Oh, shoot. So
Is that not something of a chicken and egg situation now then? Because we're kind of at the point where we're not allowed to make things because we're not making things on the right thread. But in order to get that right, we have to make a thing.
Yeah, it really seems like it.
Unless the game object that we make, we can make during an initialization phase when we're expected to be doing kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, we could. Empty game object, call it Unity main thread dispatcher. It seems like all it's looking for is just the game object is all it's looking for. So
Yeah.
let's look at that. Let's look at how to do that. So the best place to do that is going to be in my Explorer plugin. This is the plugin that's loaded up. It's got an awake. By the way, I think the Unity main thread is equivalent to the UI thread because I haven't I've not had any problems, no crashes that I can recall creating instances of things after clicking a button on the UI. Does that make sense? So I think they're basically saying this is our UI thread, our main thread is our UI thread, same thing. Okay, so let's see what we can find here. There it is. There's going to be an awake in here. An awake.
Okay.
And I have a feeling that that's probably a good place to do it. The other place, though, is we do something right in here. We check to see a form explorer. This is where we're creating the form. And, you know, what do you want to bet? That's the main thread as well. So
I think that's a good bet.
At this point, what I think we want to do is do we have instantiate here? We do. We have instantiate. There's an original. Do we have primitives? I forget how to do primitives on here. It may be a different call. Is there a different kind of instantiate? Is there a create primitive? Let's see, is there anything with the word primitive in it? So primitive type. I basically want to use that. There it is. Game object.
Was it primitive or prefab?
No, I just need a game object. So,
Okay.
so I'm not going to do prefab. All I need to do is create a primitive on here like this. Then I'm going to go and say object.name is equal to, and I'm going to do this. And I think it's going to just try to find it. It's just trying to find it so it can, do its thing.
Sure.
I think that's the only thing I need to do as the fix.
Do we not have to add that to something? Because
I don't
I
think
don't know
so.
if create primitive registers it someplace.
No,
Because if not, this is C#. It's going to go out of scope and just vanish, right?
No, I don't think so. We just need more, Rory. I don't think there's anything else we need. We just need more Rory. Okay.
That might give you more problems than it solves.
I don't know. I'm liking it so far. Okay. No, I don't think it goes out of scope. When you create it, there's a parenting thing that goes on. It's parented to the game.
So the create primitive is not just returning you a game object. It is internally attaching somewhere, and therefore it's going to
I'm
hang
pretty
around
sure it
for a
is.
bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's give it a shot, right?
Sure.
We'll close the other instance. We'll close TaleSpire on the second machine. Do a rebuild over here. Rebuild all succeeded, starting up on the second machine. See if we get the error. If we get the error, we'll maybe try to parent this thing out. That's what we'll try to do.
Yeah, I'm really appreciating the simplicity of C# at the moment. Watching this happen, my own projects at home are mess with C++, and it tricks you into thinking it's C# quite often.
Yeah,
and the subtleties are astounding.
No,
Constructors fire without a new keyword. It's just like
really, I've
crazy.
never ever been, I've never been a fan of C++, ever.
I used to joke that it always gave you 100 ways to do the same thing, and I'd never done the research to sort of look in this, but actually the more I look at it, the more I think that might be correct. It's not possible to learn someone else's approach to C++ because there are so many combinations. That how would you know all of the ways?
There are many kind of traps that make it easy to make the code hard to read. That's my take on it. All right, so let's try it out here. We're going to say 30-foot spear.
Ooh,
couldn't find it. Unity main thread dispatcher object. Please ensure you've added the prefab to your scene. So maybe I got to add it to the scene. Okay, so let's close it down again. Switch back over here. I still feel like we're good. This is pretty good. Well, the scene is coming in. What if we
definitely
did this?
Feel like we're in the right area, aren't we?
Yeah. This is the scene loaded. Let's do this. Let's see if we can find it. And then maybe there's a way to add it to the scene. Maybe scene's got a method for adding. No, sad. Get root game objects. Is there anything with root? There's no set. I need to add. Okay, fine. Internet, tell me.
Maybe there's individual collections of things that can be added. So it would be more like scene.gameobjects.add or something similar.
Sure, we can try it. This get call.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. Add primitive to scene. C#. Go. Give it to me.
Okay, that's what we've been doing.
Okay, wait. Scene loaded. What if we just did this? All we did is this. So the only change, it used to be in here, so we only created it once, but now anytime a scene is loaded, we're gonna go do this.
Yeah.
And now what we could do too is we could come in here and we say get root game objects, and then we could go through and see if we see it.
Yeah.
Game object dot transform, I think it is. Game, no, sorry, I've got the wrong one in here. If game object, whoops, sorry, hold on. Let's change this to cube. Or dispatcher maybe. Good. If game object dot, do I have the name just right there? If name is equal to this guy, let's create a constant for that. So if it's equal to that, then we're going to go we found the, like that.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll just wait for that one. Make it easy to spot. If we don't see it, then we know we're in trouble. And so what's going to happen anytime we load a scene, because what my theory is well, okay, we get out of this point, we load, and then maybe one more scene after this gets loaded, and that's why I can't find it. So this is my theory. Does that make sense, Rory?
Okay. Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah, everything we're doing seems reasonable. Everything. All right, rebuild all succeeded. Play. Starting up. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. This path to kind of hacking into TaleSpire has been fraught with like dead ends and kind of weird challenges that,
yeah,
you know, mainly, you know, partially, you know, I'm not an expert on threading. Flat out, that's, you know, certainly some of the components of this. Not an expert on Unity either, right? Just learning that.
mm-hmm.
But I do like that if this does fix it, right? If we get this point where we're like, okay, you know what? This is actually fixing it. What's cool about this, here, let's go over to our log. It may even be hard to find now, even with that. I think I'm gonna, can I Control A, copy? Let's go search for it. Yeah, why doesn't the log have a search? Isn't that kind of an interesting kind of thing? You'd think that that would be, you know. Okay, what is we're looking for? Dispatcher.
Many hyphens.
Oh yeah, you're right. Easier to find. Did not find it.
Okay.
That's not good. I should put a explicit message out. Are we done? So we're going to get the same error message, right?
Yeah, I think so. Unity main thread dispatcher object.
Okay. Let's switch back to this machine, figure out what's going on. Should have done this. Do you have like a scene.add or something like that? Yeah, we looked. Yeah, I wasn't finding that. Scene.add. Is there scene.prefabs? No. Scene. What do I got? Path, get, build index, components in scene. What else do I got? Let's just look at methods only in here. Not a lot of methods. Okay, let's look only at properties. Root count. Yeah, I don't even get this. Why is scene so hard to work with? Why is it so anemic? It doesn't make sense to me. I would have loaded scene up with lots of things. Let's ask the internet. We kind of did, didn't we? Wasn't this how to add a primitive to a scene?
So I'm looking at the source for Unity main thread dispatcher that I think was what we actually just copied ultimately.
Right.
And it's the one giving us that message. It's the one that says could not find.
Right.
It does it on the basis of not exists, which does it on the basis of instance is not equal to null. And instance is set during its own awake to itself. So I can see why this would work if you actually had it in a Unity project as a mono behavior.
It's not awakened. That's also, you know, one of the issues here. Well, let's hold on. If not exists, instance is not null. Unity main thread dispatcher awake. Instance is equal to this. Interesting. This.game object. This is what we need to create.
This is it, yeah.
I think. We need to create this.
So rather than creating a primitive, we create this and add, well, and that's the thing. Is this a thing you can add? This is a mono behavior in and of itself, and normally that's a compile time thing.
Yeah, I think that's all we need to do, is what I think. I believe there's a I feel like there's also a dependency thing here as well. I think there's a dependency thing. But let's just try it. Let's go to. Also, I want to. This is the other thing that's interesting about this code is it's totally indicative of hacking, right? Look at all the log errors and things like that. It's not well organized yet.
It's a voyage of discovery.
I'm glad you ended that.
When we have discovered.
I'm glad you ended that in discovery and not spare.
Yes.
Voyage of discovery. Okay, so
we get to discover how much despair we have.
Okay, so this, I thought it needed the game object, but I think you're right. I think we just need to come in and say new on this guy. But now, because I'm doing this, I'm going to follow that, comment that out. I want to do this now in here. Or maybe it's probably better to basically say, hey, let's take this. Let's widen that scope to field. And we're going to say, hey, if that's null, then we're going to create it. And then what? Is it enough to simply create a mono behavior?
Well, I guess the question is will that ultimately trigger its awake?
Oh, that's not going to work apparently.
That's disappointing, isn't it? I mean, at least it's fairly blunt.
A new keyword. Have to be attached to something. Well, there's its own method for this. GameObject.add component.
Okay. So it's a combination of both approaches. We have to make a game object and then add a mono behavior to it.
Yeah, that might be
Or
true.
nominate an existing game object.
Yeah. All right, so let's get rid of that. That looks like it's not going to work. And then we're going to say, I guess, are we back over here to getting the game object in here? We're going to do that. We're maybe not going to set its name though.
I don't know that we need that. So what we're going to do is was it an add component on that game object?
Yeah. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can do that too. It's not really
That's
looking
not
for
going to
the
hurt
name.
anything, is it?
Yeah, it's not looking for the name anywhere.
But that'll help us with the detection.
Yeah, so let's, although this is happening when during scene loaded, I think we need to do this for each scene, maybe? All right, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't have a strong sense of where my, okay. Closing down Unity on the second machine. I'm closing down the TaleSpire menu to say, there's the build. Rebuild all succeeded. Here comes the play. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The if we get this to a point where it's solid, right? That'll be kind of an interesting journey.
Yeah.
We're still, just to be clear, we're like, an hour and 10 minutes into the show. We're still trying.
Oh, yeah. We're guessing, right? It's relatively intelligent guesses, we hope, and definitely there's been clues along the way, and And I would say we're making some form of progress. We'll be more sure of that in a few seconds when it proves us completely correct and works, flawlessly, right?
Or, it's consistent with all the other proofs. And we're like, oh, look, there it is. There's the object. See it? Right there?
Okay, we have an object.
That's the cube. We added to the scene. We can take care of its visibility in a little bit. Let's hit the button. Here it comes. I'm scared.
Okay, but we don't... Oh, we do have a dialogue that's still complaining about failure to add this thing it's after.
Please...
Okay,
wait,
so this is us back in the... Does the mono behavior get awakened?
It's looking for the main thread executor prefab. This is a different name, right? I mean, the message may have always been the same, but this is the first time I'm reading main thread executor. I just want to double check to see what's going on with that. Switch back over to machine number 1.
So that is, yes, the same main thread executor prefab.
The switch isn't going across. Oh, there it is, finally. Let's go look at that. So there's the message. Main thread executor. So does that mean that awaken? So what that means is instance was never initialized. Awake was never called.
Yeah.
If you look at the prefab in the source repo, so it's an M name, Unity main thread dispatcher. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think I know that as the, I'm not necessarily sure that's the problem.
I'm going to go with the message is possibly a little misleading, but the logic upon which the message is shown to you is fairly clear.
Yeah, straightforward, which basically just says, look, instance is null.
Yeah.
If we don't have an instance, then we're going to throw an exception. Well, instance is set in one place and one place only, and that's awake, right? What seems to be not happening is awake getting called. Awake does not seem to be getting called.
Now, what normally causes that to get called? What part of the hierarchy does that?
I think it should be an add component. It should see that it's a mono behavior and call it. That's my take on it. Let's start sending some debug messages out here to verify, but I'm pretty sure, awake, like that. And what else? Go ahead and throw that one out there too. Like that, and fine, I'll give it an on destroy too as well. So there's my awaken on destroy. We can manually call this as well, which is kind of interesting. We could make it public and call it. Like, I'm almost thinking, why not? Yeah, this for some reason should be calling awake. It's not. Does not seem to be calling awake. So let's do this. Get component, and let's grab the Unity main thread dispatcher. Call it dispatcher. Dispatcher behavior. And maybe say, hey, if not dispatcher behavior exists, I think that's probably private. It's public. Wait. Oh, it's static. Okay. Then I'm going to come in and say this dot wake up like that. I'm going to give you a wake up call here. You see that, and then I'm going to call awake from inside. Okay.
Cool.
We're, it should be in the right thread, so we should be able.
We're aligning with our major catchphrase, which is the brute force part of this. We're going to tell it. Wake up.
We absolutely are, aren't we? Okay, so let's shut down TaleSpire on machine number 2. Let's rebuild over here on machine number 1.
Documentation says awake is called when the script instance is being loaded. Awake is used to initialize any variables, yada 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 yada, called only once during the lifetime of the script instance. It's called after all objects are initialized, so you can safely speak to other objects or query them from within.
Yeah, I'm brute forcing it, as you can clearly see. All right, we're starting up. Give this a try. So isn't this interesting, Roy? I think we've been going for about 30 minutes just to do the test to see if our theory about the threading was correct. Are we on the wrong thread? And I'm leaning towards a yes on that based on what we've read so far today. So we're a little bit closer, but not provably closer.
Once again, we'll run with high degree of optimism and claim that this is going to work first time. Of course, it might be a little late to be claiming first time, but...
Rory brings the optimism. I bring the brute force. There it is. There's our dispatcher.
Okay.
Sweet. Coming in there right there at 00. Okay, hitting the button. Nope, I don't see it.
Oh.
You sound like me now. All right, let's just copy everything, and so we can search for it. Copy that.
Coding Gorilla's actually counting in the chat room. It's apparently the 5th time.
Hector's out there. Hey, Hector. Yeah, I didn't see Hector earlier. How you doing, Hector? Good to have you with us. Okay. All right, so we're over here looking for wake. Okay.
Okay.
So we get the wake, we get to there, and we get it second time.
Because different scene, so we've got a builder scene followed by a UI scene.
Okay.
Both of which are doing well. Awake is happening, but instance equals this is not. Is that because it's the static nature of it means that's already been sorted?
Yeah, but I'm wondering if that's potentially a problem because now we're referring to an object on the other machine. But then now why are we getting the exist failing is the question. Hold on, let's switch over to look at the code here. So in order to get here, the only way to get here is this has got to be false. So for that to be false, instance has got to be equal to null.
Okay.
We flat out recorded that instance is equal to this. Ooh, on destroy.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's go find on destroy on the TaleSpire machine. I bet we're seeing that's the problem. There it is. So there's on destroy. And we have no awake after that. I bet. So on destroy is about that far down. Let's go look for awake. Above. Yeah, it's only above it. So basically what's happening is something's getting destroyed. So this idea, this implementation, I think is not going to work for us necessarily. I think we you might want to look at this carefully.
So we clearly do awake, we clearly do initialize instance, and everything is great. Then at some point after that, in fact we do it twice. We go into our second scene, and our second scene decides I don't need to initialize anymore because I've already got a reference. So we don't see the assignment happening, but we know at that point that we still have instance. In theory, if we were to call our code in that moment, we should be okay, at least as regards to getting past this error. However, at some point between that and the calling of this code, something gets destroyed because it's presumably felt to be unnecessary. It's going away again.
Yeah.
Thus, by the time we get to calling our code, we're back to a state of instances null.
Yeah.
So there's something a bit ethereal or temporary about the piece we're putting in play.
Yeah, I would agree. And I'm arguing that's not because it's a local variable, that this action, right? Because we saw proof of it because
we did.
The item's still hanging around. In fact, if we switch over to the it's still there.
It's literally still there.
Yeah. So that's not my problem.
So the object's still there. In theory, it's still got a Unity main thread dispatcher in its list of components.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, like, what if we play with this a little bit? This is still brute force. I know some people are going to be like, Mark, this is insane, what I'm about to suggest. But what
it's on the title cards, people.
Yeah.
Brute force and ignorance. If you don't come to expect that from us by now.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. Right here. That's what we're doing. Yeah, so here's the idea, Rory. The idea is we create a... I was thinking a stack of instances.
Okay.
I was thinking. The problem is, what seems to be happening is we create one, then we create a second, then we destroy the first. Right? And because of that, we get on destroy, we say, well, let's flat out, we're done. This is designed to be on a scene and live on a scene, is kind of what this appears to be designed to do. The other thing is we can take this instance property that's static and we can say, wait a second, let's just make it an instance property, an actual instance property. So I know that also people are freaking out because they're like Mark Singleton, right? The other thing we can do is we can get rid of this destroy. In other words, we can say, we can get rid of this line of code there.
I'm starting to wonder what calls destroy and on what basis.
I think this is the basis. We've added the component to the cube, and then we deleted the cube because we deleted the scene.
Except that the cube's still there.
No. You're seeing the second cube, not the first.
Okay.
Does that make sense? That's my take on it. In fact, we can prove that.
It's create one, create two, destroy one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And thus we lose a reference to two.
Yes, we lose a reference to, we lose a reference to one because that was the one that was initially created. When the second one was created,
that's true.
This was non-null, so we did nothing with that. So this idea of a stack is potentially, there. In other words, when we do on destroy, the idea is we go through and we say, hey, if this instance is at the top of the stack, then we essentially bubble it off. We pop it off, or we find it in the list and remove it from the list.
Yeah, absolutely. A list which you remove yourself from.
And then we find...
leaving any other one that was added subsequently or previously.
Right. Anything that's still there, we say, okay, we'll just use this one instead, even if it might be in a different scene. But if it's in a different scene, ultimately, it should end up with only one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're doing this. Did we mention brute force and ignorance? Did we say that?
Disclaimer! Mark doesn't know God.
It's a lifestyle choice, people.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. You could also do reference counting.
So we don't null until we hit back down to 0.
Yeah,
the
but
tricky
the problem
thing there is that
I
think we'd like to keep the one that's associated with the scene that we've got.
Yeah, the active scene. That's the thing. We could also do this. We could just do this on awake. I think. But I'm worried about this don't destroy unload piece here. But you see what I'm saying? We could just, anytime we awaken, so the most recent one awakened is the one we're using the instance of. But I'm actually kind of leaning towards this list idea.
I like the list idea. You effectively allow as many scenes as want to be created, all to create their own versions of this for themselves, and then as they get disappeared in whatever strange order that might happen, they take their own instance of this with it. And effectively we run with an instance, instead of just reading instance in exists, we're effectively going to say any, right? If there are any things in this list, pop the first one off, because if it's still here,
right,
we'll assume it's the first, it's the one with the current scene.
Because we can't control when the destroy happens. We assume that's in like a garbage collection phase. So, that's what we're going to do. So anyway, I'm going to say add this, like that. All right, so now add self to list. So those are ourselves. We'll call it instances, like this, known instances. Make that a little bit better. All right, so there's my known instances, boom. So all we're going to do is we're going to just call that every time we wake up. Okay, good. Then in our destroy, we're going to say, well, instances is equal to, well, before we do that, we want to say known instances dot remove this. Okay?
Yes.
Then we want to say, hey, if known instances dot count is greater than 0, then we want to say instances, and guess what? I'm going to take the one at the end because I think it's, I'm going to take the one at the end, not the beginning. Instance is equal to known instances of known instances dot count minus 1. All right. How do we feel about that? It wasn't actually too many lines of code.
That's a calculation that's happening when you destroy. I wonder if we shouldn't turn instance into just a getter, which just does exactly that anytime it's being read from.
Let's see what we got.
Because you're sort of dependent on the order of destroying things. And that, I guess it does still say whatever's topmost in the list gets assigned. So actually, no, that's going to work fine.
Yeah, Coding Gorilla says the problem with that is that the action queue is static, so you could end up running actions on the wrong scenes. We're not sure if that's a big deal or not.
My hope is that there'd only be one scene running at once.
Right, that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that. That's why I think this is going to work. Even if we get things kind of out of order here, and this one is wrong, say we guess wrong, we're going to get an on destroy for that one in a second. Does that make sense what I'm saying as the next scene is loaded?
Yeah.
So we've got this narrow window. This is theory. Narrow window with this approach. This strategy gives us a narrow window in which we can actually cause a crash. And
it's even narrower because actually we're only going to start our interaction, which is what causes the whole of this chain of events in the first place. We're going to start it many seconds after the scenes have sorted them out.
Exactly.
Anyway.
That's what I'm talking about. So I think this is an approach that could give us some traction here. All right. So that rebuild completed. I'm starting up on the TaleSpire machine, switching to the TaleSpire machine. Are we ready for this, kids? Ready for something?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready for this, Rory?
I'm entirely positive that this is going to work first time. I'm starting to sound less and less believable each time I say that.
I don't know. We're just like, this is like an example of how to smash heavy things against a wall repeatedly until you get a breakthrough. And then
Gorilla says, on to the 6th first time.
Quiet, you. Is it going to explode? No, we're not. We don't have any of that stuff going on.
We're just hoping for the moment that we don't get a dialogue telling us we still haven't managed to assign. Yeah. What was it? The dispatcher, in some sense.
Yeah, I think we got a better shot at it now. I'm hitting the button now.
There's a few moments of hope as nothing appears. And then we just get told anyway.
What? I don't think I got any new data to be looking at. Well, big F, says Pudding. The big F. Do you have grades like that? Does an F mean anything to you over there in the UK?
It would to my generation. It's all changed for my kids, unfortunately. No, they have numeric grades now.
Numbers going from what to what?
It keeps getting higher. They've decided to invert the numbers, so low numbers are low grades.
Okay.
And high numbers are. So I think an A is around a 7 or an 8.
Oh, wow.
But then they invented an A+, and then an A++, and that's why they changed to a numeric system. So they've now got 9s and 10s that exist as well.
Wow. All right. So awake, instance equal to this. Cool.
Good.
Then we got awake. Second time
Without
in
an
there.
instance equal to this, because it already has a value, although our list internally now we think would have 2 values.
Yeah, we should probably be throwing that count out there, is what we should be doing as well. Let's go do that. Instances equals maybe like this, known instances dot count. Throw that. That's a new piece of debug information I want to see. So we got there must be a destroy in here. Let's do this too so we can find this a little bit easier. I want to add the word like this in here, just so we can see those on destroy. Wake up. We've got that. Call in there. Just want to double check that that's being called. Yeah, if it doesn't exist, then we call wake up. But I don't think we're actually ever called this.
I've not seen the wake up specified, no.
Yeah, we never call it because everything's good right after the instantiation. We never.
Sure.
Yeah. So okay. Okay. We still have instances like that.
Yeah.
Let's use the last one.
Do we think there's any possibility we've got multiple destroys happening and that it's wiping out the last instance?
That's a good question. Let's go look for undestroyed. See what we got over on the other side. I think I only saw one of them before. Yep, just that one.
Oh, Coding Gorilla's pointing out that we've got yeah, I think he's correct. We've not removed an instance. Where is it now? So that instance equals this, but it should be an instance equals the one on the top of the list, shouldn't it?
Talking about line 129?
Well, leading to 32. 132.
Are you suggesting we should just simply just assign instance every time?
I think, no, actually, his point is valid, but contrary, my conclusion actually is that we're okay. And we're okay because by virtue of the fact that we are calling awake at the moment, we are the latest one. So we're about to be the one on the top of the list. So whether we get it off the top of the list or just get it by virtue of we are this one, I think it doesn't matter either way. What is, yeah, so I think we end up in the same situation either way. Although I think his point was more about getting rid of the if, i.e. we should be doing instance equals this regardless.
Yeah, I'm not quite there. After the first awake, if the instance is not equal to null, so the block never fires.
Because we've added the self to the list. No, it will be null after the first one. Well, sorry.
The only thing I'm not sure about
is after the first time. So the second time through, okay, the second awake, will have instance equals null. It is not equal to null. It has a value. So we'll be retaining the old value. That's what he's saying.
I think it might be more with this line. I'm sorry, I didn't really parse what you were saying, Rory. But I think we need to call don't destroy and load no matter what, is what I'm feeling.
Maybe. But what Coding Gorilla is saying that on the very first time through this block, everything works fine, and we pick up a reference to the first object, okay? And that's stored in instance. The second time through, we're doing it and superseding that. We want to supersede it with the later version. But because instance already has a value, it doesn't pick up a more recent value.
Yep. I'm okay with that. I don't think that's necessarily a problem yet, but we could do it.
Okay.
I could do it. We could change it just to this. I'm okay with that too. Use the most recent value. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I was also okay not doing that, but this, at least now we've got a fundamental change. So, you know, maybe we can test it, because we really hadn't, all we did was add debug messages. So we'll see if maybe this is a little more helpful. What I don't get, somehow we're getting to destroy. I actually suspect this being in the if statement was maybe the problem. That we were getting a destroy no matter, we weren't getting this called, and so it was going to destroy it anyway. I don't actually understand don't destroy unload. I think it has something to do with, you know, the instances in the games, the way Unity runs the game at its design time, I suspect, but I just suspect. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Did I build it? Hold on. I've like started on the other machine. Let's stop it on the other machine just in case I forgot to build it. Make sure we're testing the latest stuff. Rebuild all succeeded. Okay, starting up on the second machine. Yeah, I suspect we were getting... Well, we only found one on destroy call. Yes, that theory doesn't really hold water. I don't have a lot of theories that are going to hold water right now. I don't know.
Well, in theory, we should at least have better diagnostic information. More information is good.
Yeah, let's see what we got here. Sometimes we have shows like this, right? Where we're just like, just throwing everything at the brick wall. Can something get through? I do like that.
Okay.
Showing up there. That part makes me happy. Okay, hitting the button. Ho! Ho!
You know why it worked, don't you? There's a very good reason why it worked.
Because Coding Gorilla wrote the code.
I at no point declared that it's going to work first time.
Oh, that's it. Well, that was
there
our
was no
first
jinxing of the whole series.
It was our first 7th time. Now let's, all right, so we got that. Now we're going to do a bunch of cleanups and hit the button a bunch of times in a row. And we're going to see if we can get a crash. And already we feel better than before.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Interesting lesson to learn, isn't it? It was about threading. We had to make sure that we could create it on the main thread. To do that, we had to get an object in the scene right at the right time, and because multiple scenes were loaded, we had problems in that space. Holy cow.
That was an exercise.
Wow.
A learning moment, as you say, a teachable moment.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go in here and let's test it out. So I'm going to grab this. Let's do this. Let's bring these guys up on the main screen here too, so we can just test and verify that that's working. Okay, there's Janus. And so now, if I go in and I say target everything in that volume, who do we have inside of here? I don't remember. Let's do maybe more over here. So that'll be Janus, Apollo. This is Apollo. I don't know. Remember this guy. I think that's the guy that's not on screen right now. That's Merkin, myself, and I think that's Shanti in the back right there. This is
okay, so important that somebody there is not in the volume as well for comparison.
Right. Well, here, if we just do this, target and volume, we should get this guy targeted. I don't know. I don't think that guy will be targeted. I'm not sure if that'll work or not, because we don't have that guy. We don't know who that guy is. So that's River targeted. And look, River's targeted right up above. See?
Yeah, so that's good.
All right, yeah. So now if I come over here, and let's say grab just in there. See, we can just get Janus right here. Let's target only there. And now, River's not targeted. Janus is targeted. Sweet. So I come in and say, okay, let's hit here, target all of those. And it looks like we don't have this guy. So this guy over here, we just may not have his world ID in yet.
Yep.
So that's that guy. Shanti.
I think there's enough positive evidence in there, and good reasons why, whilst not confirmed certainties, but certain good reasons why the ones who are not affected are not affected. That's pretty good.
Oh.
Okay, that's...
We're targeting Fred, who's flying. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say everything was going so well.
No, I think we're good. I think we're still actually really good. I think that there's something else about the flying.
Okay, yeah. That's fair enough.
Potentially problematic. Let's, what do we need? We need to start with player log, I guess.
Right, well, with that level of success, Mark, I'm afraid it's drawn time for me to leave.
You wanted to leave. I could tell you were wrapping up. You're doing your summary right there. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Indeed. Have a great evening. Have a great time at the the embassy tomorrow.
Okay, I'll do it.
And we'll catch you on Tuesday.
All right, buddy. We'll see you. Yeah, not tomorrow, but see you next Tuesday. All right, so what are we looking at here? We've got targeting creatures, creature found, target.drop. That's where we're trying to add it. And then we get a crash. So this could be the thread related issue as well. I think we're gonna have to open up, go into this space right here to verify. That's in local temp, bouncy rock, TaleSpire, crashes. This guy right here, let's open that in a new window. Open up this log. What do we have? I'm looking for read caused an access violation. Attempt to access invalid address. Let's open up the crash dump as well. Yeah, so I suspect this is the same problem. We just got another place where we're creating an instance of something. Read or write, read from or write to a virtual address that does not have appropriate access. So this, I think, is the threading problem. We've got an unsafe piece, and the clues are in the player log. Let's go to the crash again. It's around the target drop. Yeah, making sense. It's making sense to me that this would cause this problem. All right, so if the theory is correct that it's doing it on the wrong thread, the target drop, hold on 1 second, let's get rid of these guys. We need code that looks like this. We need to go to target drop. And go over to modding utils. Miss it. It's up at the top here. Wait, it's not in this method. It's in this one. Target drop. Okay. So we're gonna create a new method here called save target drop. And we're gonna call this one here. We don't need this. We don't need that. We do need creatures. Okay. Are we running on the second machine? Not running. Okay, let's rebuild. Let's rename this. So we're consistent, having the word safe at the end of it. Target drop safe. Okay, one more rebuild. Okay, succeeded. Starting on the second machine. What's interesting is we never saw this problem with the flashlight. So when I say, hey, give me the flashlight, and then I add it to that, it's interesting that the drop is causing the problem, I guess, because it's kind of the same code that adds the target to the flashlight. I don't quite have my head wrapped around an explanation for why one would work and the other would not, but you know, also it's threading, so it could also just be we haven't tried it enough that it will eventually fail, and we'll have to protect it as well. So what I'm talking about here, so we're clear, is I've got a button that says turn on targeting, like this thing, and there's cleanup. This thing never seems to cause a problem, but it's also adding primitives. I'm just hitting the buttons to turn it on and turn it off. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Come over here, try to get Fred in there. Target all in volume. Target all in volume. Target all in volume. I'm just hitting this button again and again. Yeah, I don't think it was that because Fred was flying. I think it was because we were dropping these again in the wrong thread. But now we seem to be more reliable on this. Okay. Wow. That was a good lesson. Good lesson learned. Holy cow. Okay. Cool. I guess let's get rid of that cube sitting down there in the middle at 0, 0. Let's work on that for a second. I think I'm just going to make it be small is what I'm going to do. Although I just noticed something. Wait, hold on a second. I noticed that I'm targeted, but my character down here is not. Why is that the case? Let's target everything into it. Now I'm targeted. Now I should be untargeted. I did not untarget me. So I untargeted me there. That's my character, but I did not untarget me here. Interesting. Do I go after that? Do I make a note? It's a little expensive to go over after that because, no, maybe not. Let's see. Target no players should be called from target none. We just wrote this yesterday, I think. Target none, target all in volume. So we're going to see call target no players. Player stats, clear all targets, update players stats in game. Clear all targets. That looks like it should totally clear me. Does that have anything to do with me not having a nameplate? I wonder if it's a bug down below. Let's put up my nameplate and see if any difference in behavior when I target myself and then untarget myself. Nope, no difference at all. What happens if I hit target no players on the stream deck? Players, clear targets. It doesn't work. Target all, clear targets. What? I'm now starting to think this is a bug down below. The Dragon Front overlay. Let's refresh that cache. Okay, one more time. Target all, target none. Okay, now let's go to the game. So here's the game. Target me. I'm targeted. Don't target me. There's a bug down below. All right, so there's a state issue down below. That's cool. So targeted, untargeted. All right, cool. Okay. Let me just throw a note. State issue below for targets. Prompt there. Let's go back to the code. Let's go down to, we were going to work on the cube, getting rid of the cube so we don't see that. We created the cube, I think, in this space. Wake up call seems to be never being called. So I think what I'm going to do is delete it. Oops, let's get all of this. We'll comment this out. Thanks for closing that, Coding Gorilla. We don't need that, for sure. I'm just going to do that because I think that's a little simpler. And then we're going to extract all of this, maybe include the comment. We're going to say add dispatcher to scene. Yeah. Add dispatcher to scene. Okay. Now I'm going to come down here and say this dot transform dot local scale is equal to, do I have an NV3 for new vector 3? It looks like I don't. New vector 3. And we're going to say 0.1 like that. Oops, should have done an F on that. Like that. So just make it really small. Maybe I should have done 0.01. Just won't see it. It's not going to be obvious. Okay, so there's my scale. That should get rid of that cube that's in there, the dispatcher. All right, let's go over to the dispatcher. Let's kind of clean things up. Yeah, my contention is we don't need wake up anymore. We don't. You could also make some helpers to help with those operations that encapsulates the reset events, less copying and pasting of code. Oh, that's interesting. Let's look at that. I like that a lot. Let's see if I can figure that out. I think that's going to involve some brain power, though. You know. We'll see. Okay, let's look at that. So we use it over in composite effect. So I think you're talking about a helper method to do this, right? So essentially, this is the action I'm going to send in, right? And then we're going to wrap all of this in that. That's what I think we're going to do. Yeah, I'm going to change this to a property right now. And so I'm going to say this dot execute on UI thread, on main thread, like that. And I'm going to pass in, I think that. And then that is going to do this. All right, let's see if that works. That's your suggestion, I think, right, Coding Gorilla? And I think it looks like that. So this should be probably, what if this was just a static method like that? And it found the instance. I like that. We could even do something like this. We got a problem here. Okay, so now we've got this cool execute on main thread call. And now we can go find this one. Cool. I'm down with this. I think that's cool. Let's go do a rebuild of this. Let's go to shut down. TaleSpire. Rebuild. Rebuild all succeeded. Starting at TaleSpire on the second machine. Here comes the load. All right, well, we've made progress today. It took a while. Coding Gorilla, thanks so much for your help. Really useful, really valuable today. Appreciate that. All right, so now there's the, I think somewhere in there is the cube, but we can't see it because it's about 1/100th of its size. Cool. Let's go hit the 30-foot button. Looks like I got some things. Let's go do that. All right. Come in here, target all in the volume, target all in the volume. Good, good, good. This guy we can't get, that person we can't get because we don't have their values, but I'm like hitting it pretty fast and going through. I say it looks pretty good. Nice. Yeah. Good. Good, 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 good. Let's load up a different board. Make sure we can still do it. All right. What do we got? Who's up here? I don't know if that's a guy we can target yet or not. Let's we'll drop some more people. We'll drop some of the ones we know we can target. There's Lady, Little Cutie, my character Merkin, Spring River, Shanti, Janus and Fred. Okay, so 30-foot sphere, target them, and it works. Sweet. Target over here, just those. Yeah, it works. It's awesome. Oops, I right-clicked way out of over there. Did not mean to do that. Wow. It's 2 right-clicks in a row. And it drops the camera to 0. There we go. Cool. We'll do it there. Just spread. Nice. All right. I think it's working pretty well. We'll get Fred and Little Kitty. Try again. There we go. Okay. I'm going to call that a show. I'm going to call that a show. That's not bad. We are definitely getting closer to having this thing be functional like I want it to be. Next step, so we're not going to do a show tomorrow, so next Tuesday we'll go in and we'll work on changing the colors of these so that it's a blue target if it's a friendly, and it's a red target if it is a enemy. So we'll do that. We'll make that change, and we'll just kind of continue working on this UI. Let me get a raid going. That isn't the raid. It's a different button. Here we go. Kill code's just starting. There we go. I'll send you over. Thanks so much, kids, for hanging out. And what else? Kids Code on Friday. We will do Kids Code on Friday. We're working on a stock monitoring application to monitor stock prices. And that's it. All right. We'll see you later, kids.